Hello, thank you for joining us. Palestinians could be very close to getting an announcement on a unity government. Mahmoud Abbas is due to meet with Hamas leader Khaled Mishal in Damascus shortly.
And Al Jazeera understands the pair are ready to make key concessions over ministerial positions. The talks come at a crucial time for Palestinians after months of factional violence in the territories. Let's go live now to the Syrian capital, Damascus. Our correspondent Zaina Khoda. Zaina, first of all, anything out of the talks with President Assad, first of all?
Yes, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas met the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad earlier today, and both sides are describing the outcome of the meeting as positive. The talks were held in a positive atmosphere. Palestinian officials telling us that the Syrians are ready to help as much as they can to bridge the divide between the factions. And they also discussed the relationship between the two countries. But a short while ago, we spoke to Saeb Orakat, a member of the delegation traveling with Mahmoud Abbas here in Syria, and he said the highlight of Abbas's visit here in Damascus is his meeting with Bashar al-Assad. And he said that discussions are centering on the ties between them, but he refused to confirm or deny whether Abbas will be meeting Khaled Mishal, the Hamas Politburo member. He would not confirm nor deny that. This contradicts earlier statements that we got from Musa Abu Marzouk, Hamas's second in command, who confirmed to us that a meeting, in fact, will be held later today.
So trying to play down the talks with Khaled Mishal, it would appear, is that just to maintain a bit of caution, perhaps, so that there's not too much expectation placed on these talks?
Yes, this is what observers are saying, and we can't forget that Hamas and Fatah are bitter rivals, and Abbas and Mishal themselves do not have any good relations with each other. But it seems that both sides are stressing the need on dialogue. They know how important it is to reach some sort of an agreement in light of the tension in the Gaza Strip that could lead to more violence. In fact, Saeb Orakat also said that it really does not matter anymore who gets what seat in cabinet. What is important is to lift the economic sanctions which have been imposed on the Hamas-led government, because the people in Palestine are the ones who are actually paying the price.
Zaina Khoda in Damascus, thank you for that.
Well, any breakthrough in the talks would be welcome relief in the Palestinian territories, where factional fighting has brought fears of a civil war.
Farid Bassoum now reports on the two men with the power to reconcile key issues at the heart of the political deadlock.
Violent clashes in the streets of occupied Palestine. A political struggle of who should lead the Palestinian people in the fight against Israel. This has become an almost daily occurrence. But the roots of the conflict go back to the 1990s. A fight between two ideologies, two political movements, Fatah and Hamas, embodied in the two men meeting today in Damascus. One of them, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, born in Palestine in 1935. His family was expelled at the time of Israel's creation in 1948. He is one of the founders of Fatah, which led the Palestinian struggle for decades. Abbas was among the first to initiate secret negotiations with the Israelis. Considered to be the architect of the Oslo peace process, Abbas was among the first Palestinian leaders to recognize Israel and to suggest a two-state solution to the conflict. Khaled Mishal is head of Hamas's Politburo. He was born in 1956. As a founding member of Hamas, he's been a key player in the armed struggle against Israel since 1989. Hamas doesn't recognize Israel's right to exist. They've said that only if Israel withdraws to the 1967 borders and releases all prisoners and dismantles all settlements, would they agree to a truce.
Now the difficulty is that from a distance, and with all the intervention from local, regional and international players, has made this difficult over the past several months. That's why there are people who are very optimistic that a meeting will be a stepping stone, will be an important landmark.
Gaining the confidence of the Palestinian people is very important. And I guess the last lesson was a lesson for both Mr. Abbas and Mr. Mishal, that they need to create a balance between what is the international public opinion, the international pressure, and what is the domestic pressure and domestic will of the Palestinian people.
The hope is that the two men can find a compromise position that will bring an end to the political crisis and the violence. While this meeting is seen by many as just a first step towards achieving a unity government for Palestinians, it is also a meeting that will shape their political landscape for the future. Farid Barsoum, Al Jazeera.
In other news, Sri Lankan troops are continuing to drive back Tamil Tiger fighters after capturing a major base in the east of the country.
Thousands of Tamil refugees are fleeing the increased fighting between the military and rebels. Nicole Johnston reports.
Carrying only a bag or two each, these Sri Lankan refugees are leaving behind their homes. They've been caught in the battle between government troops and the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Alam. The Tigers accuse the military of preventing aid from reaching civilians. But the army says rebels use these civilians for cover during fighting.
LTT, they were keeping more than 42,000 innocent civilians in Wakar area as a human shield, and they were attacking the security forces. So as a humanitarian operation, the army moved into Wakar yesterday and captured Wakar area.
More than 67,000 people have been killed during 3 decades of violence as the group fights for an independent state. In 2002, the government and Tamil Tigers signed a permanent ceasefire agreement. But after 2 years, a string of suicide bombings in the capital and a split in the rebel leadership meant the peace process was failing. Hardliner Mahinda Rajapakse won the presidential election in November 2005, though the vote was boycotted by many Tamils. Early last year, renewed violence in the northeast left many dead. The following month, both sides agreed to discussions in Geneva, but the talks failed after the government refused to reopen a key highway to the Tamil Tiger-held Jaffna Peninsula. In April, the EU listed the Tamil Tigers as a terrorist organisation after more attacks. International monitors describe these as a gross violation of the ceasefire. Since August last year, people have fled their homes in the thousands. Their journey to a camp in the country's south is a difficult one. Some have walked for a couple of days to catch buses to take them to safety. Troops are now searching the refugees, looking for rebels among the crowd. On Friday, the army captured the town of Vakarai, northeast of Colombo. It was one of the Tigers' most strategically important towns for accessing supplies. But both sides have suffered losses.
According to the military, since this operation started in the second or third week of October, they believe that about 350 odd Tiger cadres have been killed, and the military says it has lost about 45 of its own soldiers.
The army says it's pursuing Tamil Tiger fighters after the rebels abandoned their territory in the east. Nicole Johnston, Al Jazeera.
Well, there's new hope of a breakthrough in the North Korean nuclear standoff, with the isolated Asian nation and the United States agreeing on a new round of 6-party talks. The US Assistant Secretary of State, Christopher Hill, says the decision was taken after what he called, quote, useful meetings in Berlin. It comes as the US questioned whether millions in cash aid provided by the UN to Kim Jong-il may have been used for nuclear weapons development. The UN has denied that is the case.
In Thailand, police say they've detained 15 people, including some military officers, for questioning over New Year's bombing. 8 explosions in Bangkok on New Year's Eve killed 3 people and wounded at least 38. The Thai government has hinted it believes politicians ousted in September's military coup may have been behind the blasts.
And DNA tests carried out in the United States have confirmed the death of one of the Philippines' most wanted men. The decomposing body of Gaddafi Janjalani, head of the separatist group Abu Sayyaf, was found by Philippine troops last month on the island of Jolo. The group is accused of carrying out a series of kidnappings and bombings across the country, which left hundreds dead.
There was more violence on the streets of Mogadishu on Saturday morning. 2 civilians were caught in the crossfire after unidentified gunmen fired on Somalian and Ethiopian forces, sparking a gun battle which killed 4 people.
And it all comes just hours after the African Union approved a plan to send a peacekeeping force to the battle-scarred country. Our Somali correspondent Mohammed Ado has more.
Mogadishu residents once more on the streets to witness another attack. Unidentified gunmen ambushed a convoy of Ethiopian and Somali government troops in the capital, firing light machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades. The troops responded with heavy weapons, killing a man and a woman on the side of